Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Lex Gjurasic. We are talking to someone from Tucson, Arizona. I always like to get a sense of, I'm starting to get a bit of a lay of the land. Like LA can be kind of LA centric, so I always like to make California people listen to people from other places in the world.
Yeah,
That was smooth. Did you see that?
yeah, yeah, because we exist,
I know you do for
believe
sure.
it or not.
There was a moment I was like, "Oh, I wonder what life is like in Tucson." And then I got all the like clickbait things about how horrible Tucson is, and I was like, everybody that I know that's lived there loves Tucson, so I don't know what all this hype is.
No, it's like a very like I was literally saying it yesterday. It's a very common thing to be like, Tucson sucks. But I'm like, yo, cost of living,
Yeah, for sure. That's one of
quality
the
of
things.
life,
And you do
food.
well. It's also funny. One of the things that like because out here everybody's so they get a little frustrated with the art world and like the hierarchical nature of it, but like, you know, places like Tucson don't have that drama. You guys, it's like are there like mid-tier galleries? They're no mega like David Zwirner's not in Tucson, is it?
No, but like he would come here and like scoop somebody up and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
give
Yeah,
them to the
yeah. Bless them, but in terms of like yeah, because over here, like I mean Hauser and Wirth and all of that is nice, but I've just recently realized I don't spend that much time going to those shows. Last one I went to was the Candor show that or last one I remember. But I that's on me. I should go more. But it's like, even out here you just get caught up in your scene and you hang out where your friends are rather than like always going to like the
oh,
toppest tier stuff. So what's the scene? Do you guys have mid-tier galleries? Like
I would say we have no galleries. No, we don't have any. Tucson is a great place to live and function and grow as
mhm.
an artist without having to have that like hyper awareness or that
Yeah,
like feeling like, oh, I have to be doing something that maybe isn't authentically like on my path.
yeah,
As a,
yeah. And then
and you just drive to LA and it's 6 hours away and experience the drama.
yeah. It's everybody's hardened over here.
Yeah, I don't know. We're like 45 minutes from Mexico, six
Oh
hours
yeah.
from LA. We invented the chimichanga.
Oh
Like
really? That's a Arizona invention? I didn't
it's
know
a
that.
Tucson specific
Oh,
thing. Isn't
okay.
that
Claim
beautiful?
to
A
fame.
fried burrito.
Is that
It,
what a chimichanga is?
yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
the
That's
best of
that
both
the fact that
worlds.
it's fried, it makes it more American now.
Exactly. It makes it delicious.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get one after this. Except I probably shouldn't because my cholesterol's a little high. But so okay, so then but you also okay. So I've seen you have some work up. You did a restaurant show, which I've also done in the past.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the low key one of the best ways to make money. Honestly, you sell
Yeah.
so much in restaurants. Like I bought a laptop off of sales that I did at a restaurant in Miami, like way back in the day. But I think it's interesting. What other showing opportunities have you had that specifically in Tucson?
Well, I try not like restaurants and cafes are not it, but the one that I have work up in now, 5 Points here in Tucson, is like extremely special. And you're
Hmm.
probably not aware of it, but right now is the Gem and Mineral Show. It's the largest gem and mineral show somewhere America. It's like hundreds of thousands of people come to town. So it's
Uh-huh.
like, why not? People
Yeah, yeah,
spend money. I mean, I've gotten tattoos on vacation, like just because I
yeah,
was
yeah.
moment. So yeah. So I don't know what else Tucson specific. I mean,
Well, you also did you have that mini gallery
oh,
that
I
you
have
made.
them. Yeah,
So,
I
so
spearheaded the mini Mocha with Mocha through Mocha Tucson here.
okay.
So that's a kind of like the same concept as a little free library. I work with teens at Mocha Tucson. So it was like I dreamed of the project, we spearheaded it, and the teens got involved. So you can drop off art and leave art and
And then
avoid.
people pick stuff up. I
Yeah,
saw in one of your stories,
yeah.
someone
There's
was like,
three of them currently in Tucson.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Where are they located? What are they outside of Mocha?
One's outside of Mocha, Tucson. One is at on the campus, the YWCA campus, and the third one is on the UA campus, uh, adjacent to a program called Artworks that works with people with disability doing art all day.
Hmm.
So we're hitting all the great spots.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
It seems to be pretty packed. Like when I saw the stories, like people just, it's like it gets, it's like a cupboard where people can kind of just put stuff. It's like one of the
Yeah,
pantries
it's
that they have
feast
out
or
here.
famine with the mini mocha. Like
Oh, okay.
sometimes it's like full dead, sometimes it's packed, and sometimes like assholes come and stuff like books in it. Books.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's not a library. It's an art gallery or it's an art
yeah,
museum.
yeah, and there's a sign, but
Yeah.
people that read books don't read signs below them. So
Go figure.
we've never met before. Well, I
Oh,
think
you and
people need
I?
to know that. Yeah, we have no friends in common. We don't even
No, no,
like.
no. You and me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we've
hate each
beefed.
other.
We've beefed on Instagram a little. No.
We're like Nicki Minaj and Megan the Stallion of
Oh
like
my God, that is like that.
swarthies.
That is so. It's so funny when people whose music you're not like, not that I have any problem with their music, but like the dramas come out, and I'm like, the last song, Megan the Stallion song I ever listened to was probably WAP, and the last Nicki Minaj song I don't even know, but isn't there a song called Anaconda?
I
Or
believe
no?
so. But I think the art world needs more like petty beefs. I think we would like sell more work.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that if there was more drama like outside of galleries, like artists on artist crimes, I'd like to see more of that.
Oh man, there's plenty of artists on artist crimes. I don't know how beneficial it is to for me to do podcasts on it because I have
You
beefs.
don't want to do a true crime artist podcast? I mean,
Oh
well,
wait,
actually,
are you suggesting I murder my beef?
I mean, if it's performance art, I don't think it's like
Oh,
out
you
of
think
place.
murder is okay as performance art? There you have it. I'm kidding.
I didn't say that, but I mean,
Fair
stop
enough.
it.
Um, so that well, who do you want to call out anybody on the show? You have
Yeah,
any?
yeah, you.
Okay. So the
I'm
beef is
calling
with the
you out
host.
right now as a former Guitar Center employee who likes guitars more than art. I'll be like, you know what? He liked music more than art.
Oh yeah,
He
no, that
doesn't
is a good
like
call,
art.
and he doesn't even play that much, so he just has them there as a reminder of all the time he's not spending practicing.
That's
Uh,
every dude. That's
yeah,
literally
yeah,
every dude with a guitar is
well,
like, oh, guitar, oh, I miss you.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's like it's already hard enough to make time to make art and justify it in a capitalist world, and then you're
Yeah.
like, it just feels self-indulgent sometimes, which I know it shouldn't, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I mean I'm happy to take
What
up
you
the
don't
beef.
what's
You,
your
you
like daily pressures? Like what are
My
the
daily
pressures?
pressure, oh, my daily pressures are just to make sure that I have enough guests on the show.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm like, I'm booked until a certain point, until like March, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to double book. I need to have like two a week so that I can start building up my bank.
Yeah.
So basically the show is like a daily pressure because it comes out every week.
Yeah,
So,
and you go places every day, like you go to a work or a Starbucks or like what's it, Coffee
oh
Bean,
no, I mostly work from home. I
and you
have like,
stay in your house all day?
yeah, which can get a little like,
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
cuckoo, but I mean, I definitely, I also have people come over, so it's not like I'm completely isolated. Like right now, you're in my house and I'm talking to you. I'm
You're
having
at
some
my
human.
house. Look at my look at my beautiful glass cat. No,
uh,
my studio is in my home, so I relate to
yeah,
the cuckoo of it all. Where like my family comes home at the end of the day, burned out, and I'm like, "Hey guys, hey guys,
yeah.
want to talk? Want to go somewhere?" And they're like, "Literally, no. We're sick
How's
of
your family?
people."
You have a husband and how many kids?
I got one kid.
One kid.
Big
Okay.
note, lady artist, one kid.
Okay. Is
That's
that
the
is that's the limit for you?
Yeah, it's enough to make you, as a friend reminded me, I said to her, I said, it's enough to make you not an asshole, but to have like a family.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah,
Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna comment on parents being assholes, but a lot of parents go crazy after they have kids.
No, no, you're an
So
asshole if you don't have a kid. Because you're mentally like psychologically wise, you're watching like sitcoms and you're like, oh, that teenager, and you're like 37. You're like, oh, why are those parents being so mean to that kid? And you're like, look over your phone,
oh
you're like,
yeah, yeah. No, no. I think you grow
literally
up a
like,
lot faster when you have children. Your like maturity level has to
yeah,
increase because
I'm
yeah,
very.
yeah. I'm very self-indulgent.
How old are you? 34,
Oh, you're so
37,
kind. You're now you
48?
48. Jesus, now you're not. 43.
43, living in LA and born in Rome.
You really are trying to start a beef.
Coming for you. Like, did you research me? I don't think so.
No, 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 no. I don't research anybody.
Really? This is like a first date.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we
100%.
know
Every
nothing.
time. Yeah, every time. If I would call the show could easily be called Artist First Dates. I think there is a first date podcast somewhere now. I think someone has like first date with somebody. But yeah, essentially that's what we do here. Did you have a specific thing that you wanted to talk about, or do you want to just keep shooting the shit?
Shooting the shit, but also I like to talk about humor.
Okay. It's there. Do you use a lot of humor in your work, or you just like humor? It's because that's one of the things I really liked about art, and nobody seemed to really be that into, which is that you can be funny in art, and like,
Yeah, I
and
had a
and
friend
in
tell
art
me
school,
like you should be like your art should be as funny as you are, and I was like, no.
yeah,
Then I was like, actually, my work is very vibrant. It's happy, but I find
hmm
it creepy. I'm like, if anyone's that happy as this work,
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
have mental health
It's
problems.
oversaturated saccharin.
Yeah, it's good shit. But I've been recently like thinking about and examining like the parallels between art and stand-up comedy because I've been doing a little stand-up.
Oh, you've been doing stand up in Tucson?
Well, yeah,
I've
I mean,
I mean, there's overlap there. I also did stand up, and then I realized, oh no, I'd much rather just not have an audience in front of me and have them like far, far away, listening in their house. That
I
way, if I
can't,
tell a joke and they don't laugh, I can't hear the
you
silence.
can't hear the silence. You're like, if I tell a joke in the woods
Yeah,
and no one's
exactly.
there to hear it, was I funny? No, because I see art as like, I feel like with art and comedy, like everything's on the table. Like
Mm,
you can do whatever the fuck you want.
yeah.
You can say whatever the fuck you want within the confines of like the gallery space versus the comedy club. Like it has
Mm,
to be within the context.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're a psychopath or you're getting arrested. And and it's up to the audience, and the people present with the work to confirm if you fucked up or if you were successful. And they may or may not even be right or wrong about that.
Yeah, and I've also heard comedians you hit on something that was interesting. I've also heard comedians like judge each other because and the critique being like you could literally talk about anything and this is what you're talking about, which I
Yeah.
think is an
Oh,
interesting overlap in terms of art because like you could make art about anything and like sometimes people it's
like it.
interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry?
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I
What do
mean,
you do you make jokes about flowers the same way that you make art?
no, I won't say I have a little set about being a child beauty queen. So it's
You were a beauty
equally
You were a beauty queen?
I was a winner. I was a
You were a
winner.
winner. Oh my God.
Winner.
So like
But
pageants and stuff?
yeah, but not a lot, but just enough to write comedy.
How old were you? Is this toddlers and tiaras kind of age
Yeah,
group?
yeah, but I'm old, I'm elderly. And so it was at a
Wait,
time
you're elderly
before,
now?
yeah, I'm 59.
You're 59?
No, I'm 46.
You're
But if you tell
46.
people you're older, they say, "Whoa, you look good." But
Okay.
no, yeah, but it was a time before toddlers and tiaras. it was a different time in
People
pageants.
weren't judging it as much, or what do you mean
Yeah, it was
by
this
that?
like full sexualization. None of this like pretending we're not. I'm just kidding.
Wait, no.
No, it was before like dresses got super fluffy and
Okay.
before there was like fake teeth.
Okay. So, but
You
was it
don't
as sexualized?
know.
No, no. So it's not,
No.
okay.
No, but so yeah, so I do a bit about that, and I'm that I'm growing, and yeah, I'm not.
I
And
dated somebody in high school that was kind of into that scene, and I always found it pretty strange.
it's strange.
But
That's the
so
fun
what,
part of it. It's like
what,
it's no different than performance art. You know, it's weird like that.
yeah, except your parents are like involved a little bit more, like I think a lot of times performance art is in spite of parents.
Well, all performance art ends up like naked on the ground, and you're like, "Take that, mom. Take that. This is
Yeah,
thanks for paying for college."
yeah.
Wait,
This
so
is what I did.
where was this person that you dated? Was
This was
this
in
in
Miami. I mean, I
oh
don't want to get
very
too,
Miami?
yeah, I don't want to get too much into her because I'm
No.
sure she probably doesn't love me anymore, or it maybe even outright hates me. But
Well, she's probably beautiful.
well, she was. I mean, I was into her,
Stunning.
but it was just an interesting thing. Like it just seemed like there's no like male equivalent. There's no like men doing things based on their looks kind of stuff.
Men being beautiful.
Men
Well,
being beautiful,
drag.
like it, yeah, but drag
But
is
matte.
like
You want matte. I mean, I do think men should wear like Speedos more often. I know that's like not a popular opinion, but I do think men should
you should be very careful what
force.
you wish for.
No, I think they should. I think they should
Because I've been to
because it's
Europe
like
and
we're showing off the business. Like, I want to know. I want to know, but I don't even want to know.
yeah,
I
you
have
might
a right.
regret that. Have you been to Europe? Have you been to England?
Yeah, I love it.
Have you seen English people at the beach?
Oh, God, especially English people at the beach in Spain. That's peak English
Mm,
people.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. And
I'll
Germans too. No, I mean not to marginalize any groups of white
do it.
Europeans, but
But you grew up
it's
in Italy, right?
yeah. I grew up in Italy. I was there. I remember going to the beach one time and there were dudes in Speedos wearing Spice Girl shoes, like platforms on the beach. So stylistically, it was always a little behind, but it was always interesting, like not behind. I mean, obviously it's alta moda. It's like fashion, but I'm saying like the streetwear always caught on afterwards. Like the Jinkos were a little bit behind,
Yeah.
they arrived a little bit later. But yeah, dude, during the Spice World
Mhm.
stuff, there was definitely like it was almost comical. Although the dudes looked good, it was just the thing that, wearing platforms
At
platform
the
shoes
beach?
is at the beach just seemed like a strange choice, but yeah.
Yeah, but like ladies in Miami do that all the time,
Yeah, ladies in
right?
Miami.
I mean, I don't know. I only my only
Well,
reference is Real Housewives of Miami.
I was
Like,
recently in Miami and I was on the dating apps and I was like, at first I was like, oh man, there's all these like super well photographed women with super well photographed pictures in their profile and they're looking very cute and very
yeah.
attractive. And I was like, okay, don't mind if I do. Slowly started to realize that none of those women are there to meet men. They're there to promote their OnlyFans because Miami is the capital of like per capita. There's more OnlyFans models in Miami than anywhere else.
Well, that's
So that
beautiful. That's
it
beautiful.
it's like it's a strange thing that I didn't realize until I got there. It's changed in the last 15 years, but it's always been a very much wearing shorts with high heels culture.
You want to have your
Uh,
legs look good.
yeah, and I remember like people from the Midwest coming to school there and being horrified by some of the fashion choices. It seems I was when I went to Basel with my mom, I think not last year but the year before, there were like young girls that were college age and they were doing a dress up thing, but it was like it looked it didn't hit, like it was like I was like, oh my God, like where are you guys getting your fashion advice from? It seemed there was a lot of shiny and attention getting gear, but it was like not a well put together outfit. So it was
Yeah.
interesting.
So what do you, I mean, obviously you're peak fashion right now.
Yeah, yeah, just the blank
But
t-shirt and
what, so
jeans.
what, yeah, what are these looks? Like what are the art
It
like if I was to go to Art Basel as an elderly woman, what would you be like,
as
what
an
to wear?
elderly woman. No,
Yeah, AARP and me go.
it was mismatching things, and a lot of it looked like costume garb. Like the skirts were like costumey materials, so they were going for it. They were bold statements, but it just wasn't a cohesive outfit. And I was just there with my mom, and like they're young, so like whoever, whatever, who am I to judge the current fashion trends? But I was definitely like, oh my God, these girls are trying really hard and it just looks goofy, you know? And
Yeah,
like
but I feel like that is the look. When a woman is young, I feel like that is always the look. Like
maybe I thought I
you're
was
like, this is it. I'm
yeah.
going for it. I I'm wearing the tube top and the because there are photos of me
Uh-huh. That you regret?
insane in a see-through top and a denim
Whoa.
skirt that zips both ways.
Uh-huh.
And I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that again. But like, I'm glad I took the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was wearing Jinkos, so I want to be clear. I'm not like, when I was a
Oh,
kid
it's
too.
clear.
I just want to be clear. I'm not judging them. It
No,
just it was more of an observation about maturity and how they presented themselves, and it just the best way that I could describe it, it didn't seem like outfits that people would actually wear.
yeah, but I
like
feel like that's the youth. The youth is
yeah,
up
yeah, no, no.
there.
That's
Okay,
why
so
I
if
tie it into
I like,
Jinkos.
what would you like recommend for me for Art Basel? I'm
For Art
going.
Basel,
I'm going to be walking around.
I don't know. I
I need
think
to
if
look. I
you're
need to promote myself, so I need to look profesh but cute.
uh I feel uncomfortable telling a woman how to dress,
I'm
but
asking. I'm asking.
but I will say, like, look, a lot of the things that fit in at Basel would be like cocktail dresses, or if you
Mm,
want to go for a night look, or sundresses during the daytime.
mhm,
You
mhm,
could get away with big hats if you wanted to, but they're not a requirement. But
mhm.
you can go for it. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying that like there was, like it's the difference between like an outfit that you notice and you're like, oh damn, that looks good, versus, oh my God, like this is a
They want to
child
hit.
playing dress up, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I feel like I can't pull off like too nutty of a look. I'm always thinking about context versus
You're
cost.
wearing a pretty bright sweater right now.
Yeah, but but
It's
it,
conservative. I'm not saying that it's like showy, but you
I
know,
mean, I like tennis.
you like what?
Tennis. It's a tennis ball.
Tennis ball jacket? Oh, okay.
Sweater, yeah. I mean, it's a sweater I purchased when it was 120 degrees here that I said, wintertime, February 1st, I'm wearing that sweater.
Yeah,
So
but you can tell you're from like a sunny place if that's your winter attire, because that is the most summer sweater.
this,
Yeah, in terms of colors.
but it matches my phone.
So green is your favorite color?
You know what? Funny story about
Tennis
green.
yellow?
Funny story about green is that my uniform from first grade to eighth grade at Catholic school was like a dark green. And I grew up in the
Mhm.
Northwest with oppressive dark green. I was like, I hate it. It's
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
And now it's like every painting is green.
Is dark green.
No, leaning towards psycho green,
Psycho green.
acid green, but now I've come full circle on green. But
Okay.
I love it. It's refreshing. But I also think the causation for that is because I'm in the desert and there's green sage sage green,
Mm.
powdery greens, but it's nothing like the oppressive green. So I feel like I miss it. I paint a lot of like
I've
grassy.
never heard anyone talk about nature as oppressive green.
I mean, the
But I
Northwest
get it.
is,
The water, the rain, the constant rain. I'm sure
well,
that
the rain, I use
yeah.
oppressive to describe the rain in the Northwest.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah.
is a nightmare zone. People from Tucson or like the Southwest are like, oh, I would love to live where it rains every day. And I'm like, you want to die. That's the feeling. Like it hits you. You're wet all the time. Like here when it rains, as it's rainy there in California today, as you told me,
Uh,
rain here is a celebration. And I just
People
love
are happy
it.
for it.
Rain. Oh, people run outside and are like, blessings from heaven. Like, oh, we need the rain. The rain, it's supposed to rain later today here.
Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to
I,
rain. I'm going to put on the traditional garments of my culture of the South or of the Northwest, which is a sweatshirt and a beanie
okay.
and sweatpants. And I'll like maybe put a fire in the fireplace.
Well, I'm glad that you got dressed up for the podcast.
Half of this is sweatpants.
Yeah, I don't have shoes on right now, and I'm kind of regretting it because it is a little chilly. I had to
If
turn
this was
the
a
heater on.
real date and you showed up without shoes,
Oh, yeah, no, that would be
that wouldn't be
terrible.
okay.
Um, so then, okay, where did you study? Like, what, how did you decide to become an artist and all of that? Like,
You think I studied to do this?
you didn't study to become an artist?
Well,
When did you
I
decide that you were an artist then? At how old were you?
baby sized. I mean, I grew up in a family where my which fostered creativity. It was definitely something I had some like talent for, if you could call that, as a
Mm,
young person. But I also was also very ill as a kid with asthma. And I was always like, oh, you can't go out to play. You need to lay down. Always having lung infections because of that fucking rain.
mm.
And as a result, really found solace in making and creating. So I was accepted to a school called Cornish College of the Arts when I was 15 and went there for a year, and it really wasn't a right fit for me. And as a result, I ended up studying because I grew up around artists and with artistic people around me. Um, I just heard them always saying like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this X, Y, and Z business wise." So I ended up studying arts management
Oh, okay.
and getting a certification in that from Seattle Central Community College, the best community college in the nation.
What
And
is
so
art management then? Do you manage other artists or what?
no, it was the certification itself was mostly, I want to say like nonprofit management with some
Mhm.
experience understanding how commercial galleries work, but it wasn't that academic like study art, become an artist, become a professor, teach art. But
Mm.
and so for me, I just always
Well, that's really interesting though, because it sounds like you learned all the things that people that went to art school didn't, like,
yeah, but that's
w-
only because I heard artists being like, I don't know what I'm doing
yeah, yeah, no,
at
but
a
I
young
mean,
age.
so then you learned about the art market and basically how it works kind of thing. Did
Some
you,
way. I mean, it's still always a mystery.
yeah.
But yeah, it just how to be an artist. And also then I also took as I grew older, I because I wanted to continue to be an artist and make my art and make that a priority, I did. And
Mhm.
so I just have always like structured my life in order for art to be a priority.
Okay. And then so then you've never because when I
I've never
started,
worked a day in my life.
no,
Just
no, no,
kidding.
no. No, because when I started the podcast, part of the reason that I started it was because I kind of had an insecurity about not having my MFA, only
Yeah,
having a BFA, and
don't have it.
all of that. But it sounds like you've never even needed that validation to define as an artist. How
No,
early?
but also
How,
my artistic process as a result of being mostly self-taught doesn't I've noticed doesn't rely on like feedback and criticism the same way that artists who do go a more academic route seem to require.
Hmm.
So for me, it's all about like honing my own vision, trusting my vision, and having value in me, what I'm doing. I find my own value, and I don't really care about
Yeah, yeah.
people.
Well, no, I mean the long and the short of it is that now I realize like all you have to do like it's a
Gotta do
mystery,
the
but
work.
it's a mystery, but it's learnable, you know, how the industry works and all of that. Like that's
Well, and
essentially
also about what's right for you.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what's right for your work and where you're going. I mean, you can have a full understanding of the breadth of the industry or this career path, but then it's like, what's right for you? Like, not every artist is going to want a podcast,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and not every artist is going to want to teach or
No,
is
for
going to be
sure, for
good at
sure.
teaching. I
Well,
mean,
and I find that a lot of the academic track of art education, it goes directly into like they're teaching you to be an adjunct professor. They're not teaching you how to be a super successful, you know, mega gallery represented artist, right? Like, um, even you were mentioning earlier before that like sometimes Werner will come and scoop up an artist from Tucson, right? Which is like it would drive people crazy in LA who are desperate to get any kind of attention to hear that. But
yeah.
you know, like everybody's out here hustling, and then it's still kind of a mystery how that happens to
And
most
I'm
of
over
us, you
here
know.
sleeping in and tanning in the afternoon. Just kidding. No, but here's the thing though, but also like as an artist that's not living in New York or LA, you have to embrace the benefits of that and you have to find a way to function around it. And I'm sure someone's listening being like, who the fuck is this lady? I've never heard of her, but for me, the priority is on process and being able to make my work. And I don't want to work to make my work. And when people ask me, like, what advice do you have for a younger artist? I'm like, have a day job that doesn't suck you dry.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
a day job that you can pay your bills and you can go home and still have the bandwidth to make art.
Yeah, yeah.
And whatever that is for you. Because if you have a day job that is adjacent to the arts where you're you know, um, burned out, burned out creatively, it's just going to do you no good.
No, yeah.
And
I mean,
don't wait to be inspired to make your art. It's like
oh
working.
yeah.
It's like working out and exercise. Like put it on the calendar, put it on your schedule, and do it at that time.
So do you apply to group shows and stuff like that, or it
Yeah,
not? Oh, you
yeah. I
do?
apply. Yeah, I apply to shows all the time. I tend to structure my time, whether it be a day or a week or a season of going, okay, this is the day I'm going to sit down, I'm going to apply for these things. And then the times that I'm in the studio, I'm not getting in front of a computer. I'm not cleaning
Mm.
my house. I'm doing the bare minimum of parenting. uh,
Okay.
yeah, you can't do it all. You
So
can't
you're
do
a
it
bad
all.
parent, is what you're confessing. No, I'm kidding.
My kid, like,
No, I mean that's also an interesting thing is how do you like I have a friend who I had on the show did the uh what's it called? The Artist Way episode, and she her name is Natasha Caruana, and she just had a daughter, and part of her documentation is the process of like sometimes, especially I think the daughter's a toddler. Sometimes you have your plan and then it gets derailed and you have to like somehow work in the
100%.
parenting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every woman, because my child is 16, so she's
Okay.
hardly a toddler.
She's
But
not gonna grab your crayon while you're working on something and be like, "No,
no,
it's my art now."
as a new, like, I feel like every woman when they become a new parent's like, I'm an artist and I got this baby. I got a baby. It's like the thing. And then all the art's like, oh, did you know I'm a mother? And now my art's about birth, which you can't help but that the experience of birth and motherhood is like fully the most tribal, transformative experience you could ever have. on this
Uh-huh.
planet in modern society. So you can't not be affected by it. But when your kid's older, you're like, for me, I wanted to give full time to my kid. I wanted to be a full-time parent and a full-time artist, and I managed to do them both because my kid wasn't a jerk. My
Mm.
kid, I would work when she was sleeping. She never walked on any of my art. Like, she was a genius. She never like scribbled on stuff. Actually, once she was when she was about 4. I traded with another artist, Margot Bird, and I traded with her, and the piece is of a cat, and the cat has these ribbons and like little pearls that are eyeballs like bleeding out of its eye.
Uh-huh.
This is beautiful. My 4-year-old hated it. She's like, I said, "Oh, Margot made this. Here's a picture of her." And she's like, "Ask her why she makes fun of her cat." And I was like, she hated this. And so I was like zoned out, had just gotten an iPad, not even having an iPhone. I was like, And my kid was like, hey, she came in and asked me something, and I just said yes to it. Okay, what she asked was, can I scribble on the eyeball of that painting I hate? And I was just like, whatever. And I came in there a couple weeks later, maybe months. I was like, you scribbled on the eyeball. She's like, yeah, I hate that painting. So Margot's a mother of 2 now.
Okay, so she understands the struggle.
Yeah, she looked good. She's working and doing the babies. So, but yeah, that's probably the biggest threat of
Yeah.
children is that they
Destruction.
destruction, and that they won't like your art or your friend's art, and they will say it.
Whoa, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, they are.
Has your daughter ever given you a harsh criticism?
I mean, as like every day about my face, like about
No,
my
I mean about your
breathing.
art project.
Um,
Your face you can't do anything about.
oh, you can. Oh, you can.
Well, you're
No,
you're right. I'm from Miami, so I know that.
no, I don't know if she's ever, but my spouse has, and he's not an artist. But
What does he do? Is he like an engineer specifically? I want the Is he's an engineer?
well, he was on a helicopter crew for a while, and he works with like digitizing maps now. And
Okay.
and he cuts my paper, and whenever I need something like perfectly exact, that's my person. But I remember him when I was uh pregnant. I was like, what do you think about these sculptures, these paintings? And he said, oh, they don't go together. Like they, I don't see it. I started crying because I was pregnant. Like, but it's like, you, as an artist, highly recommend like a salt of the earth regular person to come in and be like, no, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
I can
Because
see the hot glue, ma'am.
between the artists, we can kind of get high-minded sometimes.
Well, and I feel like if you have like feedback loop from other artists at your station, socially, economically, artistically, they won't tell you when things are bad, and they'll tell you things that are
Yeah,
bad and good. And
that's an
they don't
interesting
want
thing.
you to excel. They want you to stay in that spot with them. And I think it's unconscious. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
intentional.
I don't know about the they don't want you to excel, but I do think I mean I'm not pushing back either way. I'm not
No, no.
endorsing or denying. But what I would say is I think that a lot of times, like just honestly, straight up, I have friends who are artists whose work does not resonate with me. And I think a lot of times, like if I'm gonna give that person a critique, or a studio visit, I'm not gonna be like all your work is shit.
Yeah.
I
Well,
within.
I avoid this by just not having any friends that are artists.
Oh, really?
No, no, but I
Oh,
really
you hear it in my
prefer.
voice? I was like, doesn't it get lonely?
Yeah, but I would rather be lonely than like with people that are, I don't know, that I don't resonate with, as you put it. I mean,
Do
I
you
love.
find do you find in Tucson people are competitive about art? Like, because out here it is a
Oh,
little
I'm
bit.
sure it's
Yeah,
more cutthroat, but I don't know if people are necessarily competitive, but I don't notice because I don't work from that like scarcity model. Like, I'm
yeah,
a more is more kind of person. But I do like socially, like I really do prefer to have friends that are just good at whatever they do, not necessarily
Mhm.
what I do. I mean, I do have artist friends.
Interesting. I mostly like I have a hard time talking to normies.
Normies are the best. Who's gonna buy your art?
Oh no, no. I mean, I definitely I love that, but no, no, more in terms of like philosophical conversation. I mean, I do have an art podcast.
I was gonna
I
say
will
you're stuck. You can't be like, oh, I the reason I have friends that are artists is because you got to make friends with artists.
Yeah, that is true as well. But I find like when I'm like in terms of dating, like I don't know
Mhm.
how to spit game to non-artists as effectively as I can to artists because there's like a commonality, there's like it's like it would be the same as like people that want to date only Christians because they're Christian. I think there's a cultural uh understanding, baseline understanding that people have when they're artists. Like for example, I find it can be very difficult to explain to a non-artist that I'm going to sit in my studio and do nothing for a whole day, and
Yeah, but
that's productive.
I found with my spouse though, I found that when we were dating, like the fact that he was like, I'm gonna go work on this vehicle for
Uh-huh.
4 hours, nice and quiet. And then I was like, I'm gonna be in my studio. So like the harmony of like tandem
Yeah.
uh introvertedness. Tandem
Yeah, but
introvertedness is like being able to like do your thing and not be disturbed
but
and
I
be
would say,
alone.
does he consider working on cars a hobby, and do you consider making art a hobby? That would be the difference.
No, I
I would
consider
say like
mine a
artists.
calling and his like necessity to like we're both working from a place of like we have to do this and not
Okay, okay.
crazy. But I do find I think of it in art as not as a career path. I do think of it as like my true act of blind faith of like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm
Hmm.
doing this and this is the thing I do. And whenever it's a form of coping, whenever I'm stressed out, like my first inclination is like, oh, I got to get in my studio. I got to be making, you know, to rage against the dying of the day.
Is that a band?
No, it's poetry. Like what
Yeah,
happens to a dream deferred, my man? You have to like,
yeah.
I have to make this stuff or what is
Yeah,
next?
yeah.
What
No,
is next?
I think that is sort of where the academic institutions get people, you know, because
Get
they're
you.
like, we're not going to teach you shit about the art world. We're going to teach you about your practice, and that is valuable. You know, like I
Yeah.
think that a lot of academic training is mostly centered on the idea of how to have an art practice and stuff like that. And kudos to you for being able to establish that without training. You know, like I think that that is anyway, I feel like I have derailed us from the humor topic because of my interest, because of like I'm literally in this mindset of this like what like
Well,
basically
I've
I'm
been
trying.
funny this whole time, so we're not
I know, but I
off
want to ask you
topic.
about comedians. Do you like which
No,
would you do you have any comedians that you like? And then the other thing that's interesting about that is like the scandals that comedians get into versus the scandals that artists get into. Like I forget the name of the woman that did the and I don't know how tuned in you are into the art scandal market, but the woman that did the what's the poor child that got beat up?
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till. That's the so there was the white
But
woman
I
that
think
painted.
that lack of success of that piece and negative response was more about like context of like who created it and
Yeah,
why.
yeah, and I think I think that but it's interesting.
But I think people don't really generally people don't care about art. Like
Well, no, art
art
people care
scandals
about.
like happen in a vacuum
Yeah,
unless
yeah, yeah. I
there's
will
some
agree with you
sort
on
of
that.
something. But like comedy scandals are amplified because they're on Netflix. If art was on Netflix, then maybe people would have more of a
Of a
outrage
reaction.
about it. Because I mean, you and I both know we see a lot of not successful pieces.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
No,
what
for sure.
happens? They just sit there and then they die and go away.
Yeah.
It's kind of like open mic night.
Okay. Yeah,
Like
that's
open
fair.
mic night, if you've ever been, you will go home and need a shower because you will hear so many off, not funny, dick, sperm, vagina jokes. My vagina's dry is a very popular
Yeah.
one. And then you go home and you're just like,
I think
I,
you just gave me a clip that's gonna go viral. My vagina is dry.
yeah, if you're saying it, it'll go viral. With me, not so much. So I think an unsuccessful joke, you know,
Well,
land
that's interesting because
bad.
that.
But if it's Dave Chappelle like punching down about trans people,
Mhm.
like it has a platform that takes it away, that it can be shared. An unsuccessful sculpture doesn't resonate
On
online.
the same level.
Yeah.
Um, so you're not a Dave Chappelle fan?
I'm a fan of no one.
But do you have you ever laughed at one of his jokes? Now that's a gotcha. I actually enjoy his stand up. I get people getting very worked up about
I
it. I
mean,
understand. I think the idea of punching down is maybe something that I find like, you know,
well,
really that's who you're gonna go after, not all the institutions that punch down on a daily basis. Like, like for me that's like a culture war issue. And like I was gonna bring up Matt Rife, who had the scandal, and people aren't like those jokes aren't funny. People are definitely laughing at the things Dave Chappelle says, whether or
yeah, but
not
should it not exist?
what
That's the thing. Like,
oh yeah, no,
just because
I
something's not funny doesn't mean like when it comes to
No, no,
like
no. I'm talking more specifically about backlash and whatnot. Like I get that people are gonna be offended by jokes all the time, right? Like,
the risk you
but
take.
what's that?
It's the risk you take of making a
Yeah,
joke.
it's the risk you take. And if some people find something funny and it's tasteless, like I don't get. Of course, I'm not a trans person, so if the jokes are not directed at
I'm
me.
not going to
I,
make, I don't think it's funny, but when I personally, for me, when I watch comedy, I'm like not laughing in general. I'm like, what is happening? Like,
yeah,
I went to an open mic night recently, and there was a older man, and he got up there and made very bad, disgusting jokes, and
yeah.
no one was laughing except for my response of like, oh my God, I'm watching an actual predator. And I turned to my spouse and I was like, that man is a predator. And he's like, you don't know that. And I was like, I, I was like, I know it. That I was gagged at it. The people across from me, the wife turned to her husband. He was kind of giggling, and she was like, "Don't laugh at this."
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like, this is performance art. This
yeah,
response, this reaction to this man is wild, and that's what I'm here for.
yeah. It's just an interesting space, and I don't necessarily want to get into a conversation about Dave Chappelle
Predator.
specifically. No, Predators even much less. Like I find that a lot of outrage, even or you know what I find a lot of the moralizing that goes into what people are and aren't allowed to say ends up being pretty puritanical, and it comes from a very white group of people, right?
Well,
Like
do you see that same, I guess, puritanicalness, which is America in general, American
yeah, yeah.
culture? Do you see that? Do you feel like you see that in art where there are
No, no, I think it's a
do?
pervasive thing. Like I think you can't. Okay, here's what I think. I think you can't defend Piss Christ and then bash Dave Chappelle. I think that comes from a very specific ideological point of view that I don't necessarily agree with. I think Piss Christ is just as valid as what's it called? But like here's the thing. People cheer on piss Christ because they don't like Christianity, right? So it's okay to punch at Christianity and all of that. And like that's fine. You can have your
Yeah, but
political differences.
an institution is different than like a person that can actually get punched. Like
What do
an
you mean?
oppressed people, meaning
Like
like
Christianity?
it's different than like a group of marginalized people because Christians aren't marginalized. So you're punching up, like up to Jesus.
I don't prescribe to the punching up, punching down concept. I really
Well,
don't because if we apply that, then you wouldn't vote for fucking Biden right now, but people are still going to vote for him despite what he's doing in the world right now. Like we are literally actively punching down constantly as a nation through imperialism. And to me, it's kind of like a dude telling a joke versus people actually being murdered in like Honduras, Haiti, and all of that. It's all
yeah,
performative and it's all bullshit. So like if you want to talk about punching down, I'll have that conversation, but
yeah.
it's within the confines of a certain thing. And like, you know, I would say that there's like a current trend to hate white men, right?
What?
There's
I married a white man.
no, but there's
Just
like
kidding. Yeah,
there's
definitely.
a cultural moment right now where people are saying things that are like it's become cool to just offhandedly shit on white people. And like the Holocaust happened between white people, right? like it was ethnicity that played into a part in that, right? Like we're not talking about we're completely erasing a horrible aspect of racism, which racism is also against ethnicity. So when you start making it okay to like shit on people and it becomes popular, to me, it's gauche because all it really amounts to is people. To me, it's exactly the same as when people in the 90s were like, I don't see color. It's a fucking flex. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
100% just a way of saying like I get it, and you don't fucking get it. White
yeah,
people don't know what the struggle of being a black person is, and so it's this whole thing of like punching up, punching down. Like you don't know what it's like to be a trans person, and now you're a fucking authority about it, and you
yeah.
can sort of be like, oh, Dave Chappelle said, let the trans people talk about it, but like everybody's like canceling his ass, like like is every single person that's writing an article about how Dave Chappelle is transphobic a trans person? No.
No,
And they
no.
could be.
And as someone who's raising a young person who will eventually very soon be an adult, that our conversation when it comes like our kitchen table conversation in regards to humor and art and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable and what happens in our home and what happens outside of our home or the conversations we have are two different things. But for me, I'm raising a Gen Z, and a Gen Z wants to cancel using that term everything. And I say, well, you can boycott someone, you can not click on them, you can mute them, you could not make them money by watching their YouTube videos or participating in whatever way they're able to continue what you don't like. But people exist. You can't cancel people. They
Yeah, and
already
it,
exist.
and I feel like a lot of that is institutional, right? Like who are the ones coming after comedians and trying to cancel them? It's a lot of academics, right? It's a lot of people that went to journalism school at Columbia. You got people like Taylor Lorenz. It's to me, it's like, yeah, you can be offended by the things that Dave Chappelle says, but once you start saying that like he needs to not
Not exist.
not exist, like then you're on an authoritarian kick. Like people forget that like people support fascism because it benefits them, right? Like people become fascist because it's a reaction to something. And I just think that authoritarianism is wrong no matter who is, like, oh, you're gay, so now you want to be an authoritarian? Fuck you. You don't get. I don't give you that power any more than anybody else. Like to me, that whole discourse is crazy. But anyway, we can talk about other comedians that
This
you
is
do
not
like.
usually how your podcast goes.
It sometimes does. No, it does. But no, we don't have to. Like, I honestly didn't want you think I wanted to defend Dave Chappelle when I have queer people on the
I did
podcast?
not have that on my bingo card. I just simply said I don't want to talk about Trump, and then we went.
Well, no, but I'm just talking in terms of like well there are some pet peeves with things like punching up and punching down. I just think is such a dumb concept, you know? Like it's such a it's a rhetorical exercise in shutting down dialogue, right? And for me, and but we seem to agree. Like I think it's okay for you to be offended by Dave Chappelle, and I think you should talk all the shit you want about Dave Chappelle.
I never said if I
No,
was
no,
or
no, 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 no,
wasn't.
not you, not you. I just mean in the general
But
sense,
I would say the joke wasn't funny.
and that's fine.
The
You
joke
can you,
wasn't funny. It
but
just
which
wasn't
which
a
joke,
funny joke.
which joke are we talking about though? He did a whole stand-up set, and I find that most people that have canceled him. Look, I sat here. I watched an episode. I watched it with Dave Chappelle with Rakeem Cunningham, and he told me he didn't find it okay. And that's okay. Like he told me why he didn't agree with some of the
That's
stuff
just
that he
like
was saying.
the response to art or comedy is individual.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's immediate, like a laugh, and sometimes you have to go home and think about it and think of and process.
Well, that's
And
the thing about humor too, that it's like it's involuntary, right? So like you have you like well, you don't force a laugh at something that's not funny, right? Like if people if like there are legitimate people that find things funny that are not okay, like like and then to like it's like you're no longer allowed to be wrong, which is an interesting concept.
how so?
Like with misinformation, like people wanting to censor misinformation is like people used to be allowed to just get shit wrong. But anyway,
Oh,
let's talk about.
but no, but people in the past, they had it whack. They responded like we are like, oh, all the misinformation out there. I'm like, literally, people were like basing the reactions to events on like full
But
conspiracy.
that's not illegal. You
No,
can
no,
be
it's not
wrong.
legal. You can't.
That's what
But
I'm saying.
it's
That's
illegal
all
if
I'm
it's
saying.
perpetuated by like journalistic standards.
What's that?
It's illegal if it's perpetuated by like lack of
Yeah,
journalism.
but I mean, the New York Times told us there were weapons of mass destruction. We didn't fucking cancel them. Like that's all I'm saying. Anyway, we don't have to
Whoa,
get into
whoa,
this debate.
whoa.
I want to hear about what comedians you enjoy, and like and then get you canceled based on that. No,
Who would
what
I
comedians do you
cancel?
like?
My most favorite canceled comedians. No, but it's funny because like it's not funny. It's odd because sometimes you can go through like an arc of like enjoying comedy, and then you're like, oh, they just goofed it on Palestine.
Yeah,
Like right now,
yeah, for
that's
sure.
happening. Where you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to participate in giving them my laughs. But for me, it's Andy Kaufman. For me, Andy Kaufman
Oh
is
wow.
performance art and comedy and art. It's just bizarro enough. But I think I think my response to that is because it was like a time before the internet.
I was gonna say, can you imagine a dude wrestling women now?
I'd love to see that. Let's do it.
Let's
That's
do it.
what we should have done.
Yeah, yeah. We should
I should
do.
have punched you.
You should punch me. Yeah, I'll wrestle anybody. I don't care if you're married.
I don't care if you're married. I will wrestle you.
Hey, let's cut a promo.
Like, let's do that for the for your thumbnail. Let's be like,
Do you have any contemporary comedians that like who do you, or you know what, when people the I also think it's funny right now we're in a moment where the comedy scene is so oversaturated where I do watch specials of famous
yeah,
comedians. Like I watched the Pete Holmes special. I was like, this shit is not funny. It did not make me laugh one time. Then I watched the Cat Williams special and I was like, holy shit, this is
yeah.
really
But
funny.
Cat Williams is a very problematic person.
In what sense?
That he has been charged and then settles out of court with many a fucking beatdown. I
Oh,
don't know.
really?
Yeah. Like I was listening to a deep dive onto his like background of like
But wait, he's beating, who's he beating?
Employees, fans, it's
Oh wow.
this is a recent thing because I was like, oh, he's funny, he's odd. Like I like an
Well,
odd.
he just blew up because he did the thing. I actually
Yeah.
don't know because he
No,
always
no, and
talks
this
about
is
his
not like
charges.
this is a deep dive I listened to on another podcast
What
and
podcast is it?
hot psychology, which maybe we should be high for this conversation. But they did a deep dive and I was shocked. It's R. Kelly level
Oh wow.
of of abuse. And I don't want Cat coming for me. So
No, I definitely don't want Cat, I love you.
but I probably could take him because he's small.
I mean, I don't know, man. That guy can run pretty fast. Anyway, so
Fully.
but
I've got asthma, so I can't get away.
look, I have no problem with what happened to Louis C.K. I don't think that your funniness out like that was a man that was doing fucked up shit using his power and status. I don't have a problem with people not fucking with his comedy
Yeah,
anymore.
I feel bad for the people who worked with him and came up and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
are left high and dry. But you never hear of like a woman doing that. I just like to put that on the record. You never hear of a woman. There's probably some out there being like, "Oh, I was making a man feel uncomfortable in a small space." I mean, I'll do it if you want me to. I'll make you feel uncomfortable, but in
And
general, like you don't really hear about
oh,
women
I think also
misusing their power. I mean, we should do it. We should do it more often.
maybe this is a lowbrow take on this, but I think most guys would be like into it.
Yeah, but there's a way to really make men feel uncomfortable
What,
that
pegging them?
no, just like I like to yell.
Yeah. Look, but I think that like, I think with him, that's not things he said. With Louis C.K., those are actions that he did. And when you're telling me about Cat Williams, yeah, that's a fucking problem. Now, does that change that he was funny for a very long
No,
time?
my
I'm not gonna.
my rule of thumb is like because we're talking about like can the art be separate from the artist?
Mhm.
Like let's cancel Picasso, he's a dick. Let's cancel Miles Davis. He wasn't really cool with ladies.
Well, Hannah
Like,
Gatsby, since you're mentioning Picasso, is not funny.
well, for me though, like once the artist is dead, I feel like we can appreciate them for who they are. Like once they can't perpetuate whatever fucked upness they're doing, then
They
it's
get a
okay.
pass.
Yeah, like so once someone's dead, I'm like, they dead. I got the last word. I get the last response. I got the context of now times versus past times.
Well, now they're
But if
doing.
they're still alive, it's like deuces.
Yeah, no, I mean, but then also look at like someone like what's his name? Eddie Murphy, who was like huge and super famous and super funny, and you look at his old stuff and you're like, I don't know if I can stomach
You're like,
this
what was
anymore.
wrong with my parents?
And what was wrong with me? Because I used to find that shit funny, But then that like, I mean, but that is like it. I just find it like an interesting thing. I definitely don't think that I don't think that Dave Chappelle making jokes that hurt people's feelings and this guy jerking off in front of his employees is the same thing. I'm okay with like I have a problem with him. He's still around. He still does podcasts and Louis C.K. And I'm like, nah, not really interested because he's
My
a
problem,
fucking creep.
yeah, but my problem with like both of those scenarios is that there is a woman or a person of color or a trans person that's just as fucking funny and isn't doing those things. That's the problem. Is
Why
that I
haven't they?
know out there because we all can't.
But
There's
why haven't they made it? Why haven't they
because
hit
of
that
the
level?
institutionalized power dynamic
But
of
is that Dave Chappelle's problem?
no, but I'm saying like there is that's how I see it. I'm like there's always someone out there
Can I
that
point
is
out?
just there's lots of just as funny people.
Can I
Like
point out though?
being
can I
good at
point
your
out though
job.
that you said person of color and he is a person of color?
Well, I was thinking Louis C.K. on that one.
Okay. No, anyway, we
We
don't
could
have to.
dissect this all day like it's Thanksgiving dinner.
No, I want to know who you find funny, and you can
Oh,
you
who do I
cannot
find
tell.
funny? I really don't find anyone funny, but if I was to give a name to you right now, I really enjoy Amy Sedaris. I
Okay,
would
so
say
she,
that's the closest thing I am to a fan of anyone in this world because and I do like David's writing, her brother, but he's nothing but a complainer. He's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
but complaints, and I appreciate that about him because I'm a complainer. And but I enjoy Amy because she's delightful and weird and wild and sometimes inappropriate, but not in a way that like, you're gonna
I went to one of her. She did a book on cooking, and I
yeah,
went to like her reading signing thing,
yeah.
and I had tried to turn off my phone because I didn't want it to make any noise, and it still went beep. And she
Yeah,
acknowledged it.
you're
She was
the.
like, haha, beep. And I was like, fuck, I literally tried. So that was my takeaway of my
I
experience with
just
seeing
when
her in
my phone
person.
isn't off by chance, but I compulsively check it like 10 times.
Yeah.
Things when my phone isn't off and it rings in a inappropriate situation, I just act like it's not my phone. I go, "Whoa, who did that?"
But David Sedaris also caused a stir. Do you remember his moment in the Sun of bad press?
What?
He
What?
he
Remind me.
he and his sister were shopping, and he got really mad at the sales clerk because they were not accommodating in a certain way. I think
Yeah.
they like didn't have any way to package his things, and so he did a whole thing complaining about it, and everybody called him out because he used to write comedy from the other perspective, from the
Oh yeah,
perspective of
the
the
sale.
retail worker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what he
so
did his bread and butter on being an elf.
yeah, and so it's funny. Like there's no escaping people like coming after
There's
you,
no
even
escaping criticism in our society today because
people
of the
just
internet.
jumping on you over shit. And like and then there was anyway,
Cancel him.
it's just funny how like comedians end up in this space where like even the most like I would say palatable to a liberal audience. It like Sedaris has fallen under that category. They like
NPR crowd, the
any
NPR.
NPR crowd, perfectly what said. But it's just funny. Like I having this conversation makes me so happy that I decided to go back to art, and because
Not do comedy, you'd
I
probably
did
make more money in comedy than art.
I did stand up for like for a while, and I considered myself like somebody that was pursuing it. And then I had one bad set. All it took was one
One
bad
bad
set.
set.
Yeah, I had done four sets, and then the fourth one went bad. And
That's like
then
usually that's the like process.
well, no, but I was just like I sat down and I was like, okay, it's gonna take me at least 7 years to get good at this, and I've already spent 7 years learning how to be an artist. Like maybe I'm just doing this because I'm not addressing I don't have a creative output, and then I
You're
got
like,
back into art. So
I
that's
think that you could have done both in tandem if you just got a therapist.
I did have a therapist. It was just really hard. I just don't like not being like not you know
No, but
it was it I had experienced the highs and the lows I did not like, you know? Like I
yeah,
was just like,
no,
"Oh, this is not for me."
no, there's definitely more of a risk,
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like, when it comes to comedy than with art because art can be edited and you can have a curator's input and it can be shined up and the light can be put on it a little better. It can be elevated even if it's just a spray painted 2x4.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure.
But you can't
So,
spray paint a 2x4 and like bring it to the stage in front of an
yeah.
audience and go, don't you find this funny? Actually, I might do that next time.
What? Do
Prop comedy, prop comedy.
crop comedy? Okay.
That's the beautiful crossover of sculpture and
Dimitri Martin got called a prop comic. Like the comedians that just did the microphones. It's such an interesting world. They're also so fucking like honestly, uh like I stay up to date on all the little podcast scandals because they just show up in my feed. And right, you know who Tom Segura is?
I've heard the name.
He I have in the past really enjoyed his comedy, but he recently had a meltdown on Twitter because now he's like super rich because he got famous through being like one of Joe Rogan's friends. So he appears a
Hmm.
lot on Joe Rogan, gives him a
There,
bump.
that's why it's familiar, but not.
Yeah, yeah. So him and this other guy, Bert Kreischer, they have a podcast called Two Bears, One Cave. To me, it's amazing how many people don't realize that that formulation of two this, one this comes from like a literal scat video. And like you'll see like kids content labeled like that. I'm like, no.
Like two children, one nap. Ooh, mommy
It's like
blog.
yeah, and there was that movie Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, which someone pointed out, a comedian pointed out that like that is like a reference to when Kim Kardashian put out that butt picture of her that like became
Oh
really
yeah, yeah,
famous.
that broke the internet.
That broke the internet, right?
Literally, my internet didn't work for weeks.
Yeah, no. And then Cat William recently broke the internet.
Yeah.
Did you have you heard about his Club Shay Shay thing?
Oh, I have, but I was about to indulge in it, and then I found out that it got ruined by the
About
truth.
yeah.
And I
No,
was like,
I did not know that. And if Cat Williams is beating his employees, that is awful.
yeah, thanks,
That's where
thanks, Rich and Tracy from the Pot Psychology
yeah.
Podcast for making that happen for me. Or not happen.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to Tom Segura, like what I find interesting is like now all of his audience hates him because he had a meltdown where he started complaining about something at an airport and then he started going after his fans and calling them poors.
Oh, that's good. I call my family pores. I'm like, get off my, leave me alone, pores. Let me do your dishes for you.
Yeah. So
No,
then
I wish my fans would hate me.
hate you for that.
Yeah.
Wait, you have comedy fans already?
No, I was thinking art.
Art fans? Do you have a following? Because it seems like you do.
I mean, people like flowers.
Mm.
That I don't feel like I'm doing what I don't know. It's nice when people know your work and you don't have to tell them about it. It's nice to meet people and not have to go like have answer the question like, "Oh, what kind of art do you make?" That's just a
Yeah.
relief. Just a relief. I'll
Well,
just say,
you addressed your vision earlier and you alluded it to it being kind of oversaturated with glee, but also a little
I
bit
think it's
dark.
manic.
Yeah, it's
Manic.
manic.
I
So
put everything that like I put all my intensity and like any obsessive compulsive, any processing of emotions through repetitively making art. Through making.
and then
And people seem to like it. People seem to like it.
but the process for you, like, do you when you're done with the end product, like what do you have like an objective that you're going through, or is it mostly just purging?
Just emotional relief and being able to sleep at night.
Really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. Like I go lay down and then I'm like, flowers, flowers, like repetitive. But it's something that I pulled from, like I mentioned before, being sick as a child. I would draw repetitive imagery and as a form of solace and relief. So now I just do it as an adult and it helped me cope through the pandemic. And yeah, and people look at it and they feel some sense of relief. I think so also.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I enjoy sort of the manicness of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to get it out somehow. And
It's like
I
it's
would be
like
making it even if no one
was
liked it.
into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's the sickness.
Yeah, yeah. That is
That's
the
how sick I
sickness.
am.
That's what we document on this show. Um,
Sickness. Yeah.
yeah, the sickness of not being able to not do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, right.
So you said humor, and I immediately went to stand-up comedy
I
before
did too.
but no, I know. But do any other humorists that you like? I grew up really enjoying Carl Hyacin, who does
Mhm.
very specific Miami, Florida-based characters that I completely recognized growing up, and I was like, oh yeah, I knew this guy and all of that. Is
Yeah,
there any author that resonate? I mean, Sedaris is obviously in that realm, which is
yeah.
what got me thinking about this question.
Mm, that's a tough one. I mean, when I was young, I like a Gilda Radner. Like
Okay.
as a kid, I was like, whatever that lady is made of, like I want to be a part of that.
So a lot of your stuff comes from like reruns, I would imagine, because
I
Gilda
watch
Radner was
I
not.
I
You're
watch
3 years older
TV.
than me.
I watch TV the same way I always have watched TV. I
Uh-huh.
turn it on, I adjust the antenna. I'm not paying for streaming. I am. You can watch like regular TV still. This is my public service announcement. It's $16. Buy yourself an antenna. Enjoy some Mark and Mindy reruns right now. Dabble has girlfriends.
Do they
That's
are they playing Gilda Radner reruns right now?
no, they don't. But you
What
got to
were
go
her
to
shows? She was on Saturday Night Live, but she also
SNL, but like just the wacky wildness of her characters, I think. Like
yeah,
I choose to embody when I'm in public, so I don't have to like be myself.
yeah. Well, I would say that, if we're doing parting shots, because we've been going for a little while.
Yeah,
Uh,
I gotta take a nap soon.
yeah, me too. That's exactly where I'm going. So I like that our processes are similar.
Yeah.
Um, what I would say is that I think the notion that cancellation has made comedy not funny is entirely bullshit. All of the comedians that get canceled succeed beyond their wildest dreams.
Yeah.
Like anybody that I know of has been canceled has only been good for their career. So
Yeah.
I don't I don't really care that people are canceling people because
Yeah.
it's kind of dumb anyway.
And I think
So
more visual artists should be canceled.
yeah, definitely cancel me, please. No, don't cancel me. But I think that stand-up comedy is notably not as funny as it used to be. And I think it's because there's a lot of not funny people. Like I think the
Yeah,
market has
men.
been
Oh,
oversaturated. No, there's a lot of shitty male comics. I'm not gonna lie. There's also some bad. I don't think Whitney Cummings is that funny, but I don't think it's
but
a
she's a
gendered.
new mom. You can't
Yeah,
say that
that.
about a new mom. Just kidding.
but
No,
but but I think when
yeah,
like I try to watch stand-up specials and I'm like, this is not at all like not even clever sometimes. A
yeah,
lot
that
of
the
stuff on.
stand special versus the like being in the context of the nasty ass club with their garbage food you have to buy. Like that experience is chef's kiss.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like the context, it's like going to like someone's shitty art show with their crappy cheese and their $2 chuck. Like there's just something that like can't be replicated with that context. I feel like we all need to get out, adjust our antennas,
Uh-huh.
get out there, watch regular TV, be in the comedy clubs, and go to art shows.
Yeah. Have you ever been and seen somebody that was like literally bombing and just
Yeah, I
not
love it.
making any?
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh,
Call
so
me.
so so you are a
No, I've
comedian.
never bombed.
You've never bombed?
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I love a bomb. Like
Yeah.
like as the bomb is dropping, I'm like, oh, it could be my child, it could be my son, because it's a boy.
How often do you get up?
Uh oh, on the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Recently, I did a real, like, I gave it some thought, and so I'm fresh off of a recent, like, working out with a mentor, like a really firm set that was memorized and
Mhm.
did it. And I came off as like the Jim Gaffigan. Like I came off like so, I felt like so clean compared to those like sleaze balls.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, everyone here's a nasty perv. And they're like, they need this to get that out where I live pervert.
yeah.
I don't
Oh
need to
my
go
God.
on stage
I
to.
really want to meet your husband now because that I'm just imagining him so subdued.
He's so subdued.
There can't be
Literally.
two of you in a relationship.
No, no, that's the facts. I tell everyone when people are like, I'm looking for someone that's going to mirror me and be just like me. And I'm like, well, I want someone to do my taxes, to cut paper correctly, to fix my car, and to tell me. He's told me when I'm not funny, it's when I'm drunk. So I stopped drinking. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So being funny is that important to you?
Yeah, I sacrificed alcoholism for comedy.
Well, you've definitely made me laugh today, so I appreciate that.
Now we're best friends.
Yes, now we're best friends for sure. We still have a wrestling match to schedule.
Yeah, no, it's a threat. Hey, whatever your name is, Javier,
I thought you did
Miami,
research on me.
Miami 2025 Art Basel, I'm kicking your ass.
Oh, that might be interesting
You
as
said,
a
I kind of
performance
like
art.
that. You said, you might turn me on.
All right. Well, anything that we didn't touch on the way out,
No,
you got to
we
make me
touched
laugh,
on
and
things I didn't
you're
even want to
content.
touch on.
What's that?
We touched on things I didn't even want to touch on. This is
I'm
gonna be your
sorry.
this is gonna be your least popular podcast. I'm
You know what, man? I don't
predicting.
even think of it that way anymore. I just
You're pumping them out. You're
you just
pumping
you
them
gotta
out.
hit the deadline, you know? So
Well, thank you for having me
it was a
and
pleasure. I
hearing
hope I
about
didn't.
someone not in LA or New York. Thank you for that.
No, I mean, you're not the first, but
But
what's it
I'm the
called?
last. I'm the
You're the
last.
last. Yeah, yeah.
This is
No.
it.
No, I just think, it's one of those things where like the stand-up space is so like comedians are so self-involved in this really interesting way that I just find the whole space like there,
And same with
like
artists, wrapped up in their own shit no one cares about, right?
yeah, but I don't hear artists saying that they're the last line of defense on free speech, which is the dumbest shit that like Joe
They
Rogan
should
says.
be saying that because it's true. What are we talking about? Piss price on everything. Pee on it.
That sounds like a song. Piss Christ
Am I
on
right?
everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure. What can we promote for you?
I'm on Instagram at Lex Jurassic, LEXGJURASIC. So sounds like the park, not spelt like the park. That's my website, lexjurassic.com. And sometimes I'm at Laughs here in Tucson, Arizona.
Doing stand up?
I'm laughing at people.
Laughing at people.
Yeah.
What is the ethnic background to Jurassic?
Jurassic, it's
Are you
Croatian.
from? It's Croatian. Okay.
Mhm. But I'm a
Any
mix of
you
lots of swarthy,
what mix of what?
lots of swarthiness.
Isn't swarthiness dark skinned?
Yeah, swarthy, just sexy,
Sexy.
ambiguously ethnic.
Okay.
You got a little of that going on.
Yeah, they call it olive skin where I'm from.
Yeah, that's the Miami explanation.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way that we tell ourselves that we're not white.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure and thank you guys for listening. Cancel me or don't based on my opinions about Dave Chappelle. I know that people feel very strongly about him. I think it's fair to not like him.
Yeah,
I think
please only leave negative reviews for this podcast. We
Oh
only,
no, don't encourage
I'm
people
just
to do
kidding. I'm just kidding.
that.
You're like,
I
please
still
keep my life.
in fact, I'm
No,
going to ask because you said that, I'm going to ask you to go and rate my podcast because on Apple Podcasts, the rating I got like a 1 star and a 2 and a 3 star and I'm like, "Bro, if you don't like it, just don't listen
just
to
leave
it.
it
Like why
out.
are you
Leave it. Yeah, the internet, you don't have to give your opinion every
Well, it's
time.
just funny how people that like love the show don't do it, but people that hate it like take the time, you know?
Hmm.
Like,
Just
so
like marriage, just like
so
marriage.
if you guys could be so kind, go
Do
to
that. Don't
Apple
listen to them.
Podcasts and give us a 5 star review to get us out of the 4.7 rating that we're at because we're much better than that, and we've gotten better since those reviews came out. So
We leave negative reviews on my Instagram. I thrive off of them.
you do? Oh,
No, I don't.
nice.
For my for my comedy, I'll
For
read
your
them.
comedy. You get to complain. I was telling my mom some of the art drama that I get involved in. She goes like, "Well, Javier, it sounds like you're putting together a comedy special." So,
I
hey, it's
love
been
your
a
mom.
oh, my
It's been a
mom's
pleasure.
awesome.
I love you, Javier. Have a good day.
I love
Enjoy
you
the
too. I hope your husband's okay with that.
rain. Totally.
And then we'll be back next week with another guest and another topic that may or may not be art related.